Hello everyone. So here we are live streaming. Um, Normally a female avatar, but I'm working on female Bento animation. So I wanted to, I had to live streams. Okay, I'm just trying to look up my stream going on my here so I can watch chat. It looks like my microphone is working. Yes. Um, Here we are. Just go to home. It should show there. And this is my third or fourth now that I've been testing out. But I plan on working on some animation while I do all this. And of course, people can ask me questions. And I'm also testing this to see. There's a Bento or content creation meeting today, and I would like to live stream that today. So I'm testing out how Second Life stream. I'm playing Second Life, and that uses so much bandwidth, and then the streaming uses so much bandwidth. So I'm testing all that out. Now I'm looking for my live stream. Should be showing. Oh, here we go. Right there. Ah. Okay. Yes, we are streaming. But I don't see the stream. Let me open up a different window here. Open up new. Because the last couple times I've been able to stream, which is crazy. I have to look for my stream. It is, but how do I go to it? Not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Okay. So maybe I just did this earlier, but maybe it's voice. It's voice. Let's public view, preview, public view. Oh, okay. Say that. Yeah, I don't know why it was there. Okay. Why can't I just look at them? I'm not seeing anything yet. See, now this is all new to me. Okay. Maybe I can't stream and broadcast live. August 6th. Live control room. That's kind of. Crazy. Let's see this. See, this is working earlier, but I voice. Here we go. Now. Okay. So that was a couple minutes screwing around. Okay, I can see it. Let me see. Voice on. Voice on. Okay. So I'm working on these female animations, so I had to make this character. And while I'm doing all this, I might as well broadcast that I'm streaming live. So you can look at the character. You can see a lot of the animation I go on on here. And most of it's, I'm going to tweak some of them. And, oh, live stream. How do I? Control. That's kind of crazy. Let me open that in a new tab here. Close that. Okay. Control room. Okay. I don't know what that really does. And the one person watching is probably me, I'm guessing. Oh, so I wanted to kind of post this in, okay. Oh, here we share. Okay. So I'm going to copy this. Oh, I don't have it. I can put it on my other computer. I'm sorry. So now I'm going to have 3. It's really going to be struggling to broadcast here. Let me get here. And oh, there we go. Okay. So here is the stream, and then I'll just close it when I'm done sharing it. And I should have less going on this computer. So paste. Turn my voice off there. I'm on another screen here, posting that I'm live. So I'm streaming live female Bento animation for second for second life. But I'm gonna make this one word. Put a hashtag. There we go. And then I'll put hashtag SL. What else? Let's tweet that. And then I think I have a group in here. I'll mention it in the group. So I want to go to my groups. Blender Avastar. Chat. Close that. Let me see. Streaming live. Female Bento animation creation. Right there. Okay. We have 2 people. Look at that. Someone is watching. Why is it working? I should be on my microphone. I wanted to cough. All right. Sorry, everyone. So I'm working on this. Someone's messaging me. I'm working on this female animation. It's going to be in the. So I'm not normally a avatar in Second Life. But so I make this avatar, and I'm not a fan, so I don't really add into it. So you can see I'm using hands, and you can see the line there. And I'm thinking head that I kind of worked on for another, and it's an early version of that too. It's not even, but you can see the line there. As far as like testing out the animation thing, me. So I have quite a few of the stands done. So what we're seeing are the female stands, and I'm going to make a couple corrections on some of the animations. I'm probably going to voice here. I'm probably going to work on some sits and sit grounds, probably just mostly poses. But I need to add Bento animation to it all. Okay, so let me turn that one off. Okay. Okay. So we're not going to necessarily be in Second Life this whole time, but you can kind of watch. Are you showing weight painting? No weight painting right now. Just animation. Okay, so wow, there's actually 10 people watching. So I have there's a content creation meeting today. So part of why I'm doing this live stream right now is to kind of test out how everything works. Because streaming, you're playing Second Life. Second Life uses a ton of bandwidth, and then you're streaming, and that uses a ton of bandwidth, and then I also have to watch the stream, also. So yeah, there's a lot going on here, and it seems to be working now. Though I'm not sure if everybody else is seeing it quite as nicely as I am. Anyways, so we're going to work on some animation today, and if anybody wants to ask me any questions, you can ask me anything about Bento animation, Bento mesh creation, weight painting, anything you want. But here's one of the animations I wanted to work on today. And the animation is pretty much done. But there's a couple problems, a couple little things that I wanted to correct with it. Right there, he kind of, or she kind of moves back. And I don't like how the head moves in the beginning. So I'll stop it here. I should probably stop this live streaming until, at least in Second Life, until I have this animation ready. That way I'm not hogging up bandwidth doing this. So let's log out of Second Life. And we'll stay in Blender. There we go. So there is a chat window if people want to ask me questions about how to make certain things, then please use chat. Right here, my hands are kind of messed up. I'm animating on the default avatar. And the reason why my hands are messed up like that is because there's kind of a new feature where in Second Life we have two forms of hands. We have these new Bento hands, and we have the old kind of mesh deforming hands. And so this part in Avastar, under the object tab here, controls what the hands are doing. So for this animation, I wanted a relaxed pose for the normal Second Life hand, and I want my animation on the regular, and that's what it comes out to look like when I'm exporting it. But when I'm not exporting it and I want to actually see how the hands are going to look, I have to keep it. You have to keep it on spread. Okay, so enough about that crap. And when I export this, I'm going to have to change this back. But and I'm not working on hands, but we'll leave it like this for now. So like I said, I wanted to, somebody's in chat. Looks great. Animation is not something I should do right now. Clothing creation video. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges with animating a four-armed character? A four-armed character. The toughest thing? One of the biggest challenges. Really, I think it's just four-armed. It probably comes down to just how everything works together with that. Technically animating, I mean, animating is animating. And, well, one thing I'll talk about, though, is the reason why I use Blender and the reason that I promote Blender is I've used a bunch of different animation programs, and it's never before that I kind of feel like I have so much control as I do animating in Blender. So, like these animations, these motion captures, I made a very long time ago. But as anybody who's done motion capture knows, that just because you create the motion capture doesn't mean that everything's perfect. Sometimes things are twisted weirdly, and unless you want to kind of destroy parts of the actual motion capture keyframing, then it's not always easy to get even motion capture to work perfectly on any avatar. So, but with Blender and some of the ways that Blender works, it's actually becomes very easy to edit once you understand how that all works. So, what version of Avastar are you using? I'm using 2.6, I think, right now. I'm using 2.6. I probably should update. I think there's a new Blender version too. But it really doesn't change anything for animation so much. I have all the features I need to work on this right now. So I'm not going to update right now. Okay. So I had some weird neck movement in here. She spins around and then she turns and looks. And maybe that head doesn't come far enough. And there it kind of does. But as you can see, it kind of bobbles around there. And I don't like that. I can look at this. Right here is where that neck moves. And it should probably stay this way for a while. At least to here. And okay, so make sure I'm grabbing the right tool here. Yeah, okay. So basically, I want to move all of this up. And I just want to use the green. Just show me green here. So, and if anybody wants to ask me anything, please do. Ask me anything. We have 17 people watching. Wow. That's kind of crazy to me. So what I'm using here is the graph editor. Okay. The graph editor. And each one of these are axes that the head rotates on. So, I want the female to look around here but I want her to hold it a little bit longer, probably till about there. Okay, so I can start tapering this off. And I could get rid of some of these keyframes too to make it easier on myself, but it's not all that difficult. And you like to keep nice and rounded movement to make it look smooth. Okay, so now we have the head here, and we can kind of see how that head is moving. She kind of whips it around. This could happen a little bit more smoothly. How is rendering time with Blender? It really, I've done a little bit of rendering with Blender, not a ton, but it really depends on what you're using. There's two kind of rendering engines in Blender, and it depends on which one you use. The default rendering engine is quite a bit faster, but it's not as detailed as the default or as cycles. So there's the default, and then there's cycles, and cycles takes quite a bit longer, but you're also going to get much more realistic renders. But cycles takes forever. Even some basic animation scenes that I was rendering for a little movie, a little test movie that I did, using the normal Blender renderer, it would probably take me 15-20 minutes to render a 30-second scene. So, and it also depends on your computer too. So it doesn't look bad there. It looks a lot better than it was. Okay. See, a lot of this, I'm just kind of smoothing out the motion within this arc. And to me, this kind of takes off a little too quickly. Look at how fast that head turns. So, if I can grab the right one there. Go like that, and maybe grab this one too. There we go. So let's see how this looks now. So she spins around, looks, it's still a little, okay, so looks. See, I think this could all get even further. I don't. This neck should go back more. But let's fix it first here. So let's keep this a nice round movement. And when you're cleaning up animation, this is basically what you're doing. You're trying to like smooth it out. You don't always go frame by frame. I could select a bunch and then maybe hit some smooth options here. But to me, it's just, I like to go frame by frame. And I don't always, this is detailed motion capture, and there's so much movement going on that I have a keyframe every single frame. Like, I could clean this up. Every motion capture has keyframe on every frame. But to make it easier to work with, I could clean it all up and have Blender automatically take out frames that aren't really adding to the movement or adding anything new to the movement. And it makes motion capture a lot easier to work with. But because there's just so much movement in this animation, I really don't want to start taking out keyframes. See, that seemed, why is that so weird? It might be in the neck, and it might be because of other axes. I don't see anything too strange up here. So let's see here. Actually, it looks like it's in the head, that little bobbing. And you can, and it looks like a back and forth movement, so it's probably right here. It's more than that. That is the Y right here. Yes, right in here. You'll see these get all weird in here. And that's, you know, kind of what it comes down to when people talk about smooth animations. It's getting rid of that, a lot of that stuff. Even this goes a little wonky here. I see another question. There's any chance you will show how to properly export animation off a Blender and import into SL? I'm having loads of issues to do with this step. My current Bento animation starts when I stop them. Okay, well I'm going to show that because I'm working on this animation and I'm going to export it out and try it on the avatar. So hopefully pretty quickly here we'll get that. Okay, so she looks. Oh, that was a lot smoother. Okay, now there was one more issue. So anytime you're making these standing animations, it doesn't matter turning around or what they're doing, but at some point you have to come back to a loop. Okay, and sometimes you can tell where the animator was bringing it back because it does something weird like this and then into its pose, into its looping pose. This pose and the first pose need to be exactly the same. So, and that's what I noticed in here. All of a sudden you see this shift, and I don't like that. I don't like that. It looks I have no more questions. Yeah, so I am totally gonna. I don't like how this head move looks forward like this either. But we could, and that's the thing with animation. We could, you could work on one animation for like forever. Because all these little, see right there, he starts moving back. So what I can do is I can just try and smooth this all out. It probably starts to happen in the chest here. Let's back out. Okay, so I don't really see anything obvious in there. Maybe it starts in the torso. You know? Well, here it definitely starts. Right in there. So, and what I can also do is just delete a few keyframes like that to smoothen things out. That's on the neck. We have here on the head. See, we have this right there. And red is the x-axis, and that usually controls front and back movement, or I don't know, how would you say it? Forward movement? Forward rotation. So let's look at that. It's still there though, and I'm wondering where it's coming from. See, that could... Sometimes things are so slight. And what you can kind of do to exaggerate things more is to use these little handles, and that'll give you a wider graph to look at. So that's so right, and it doesn't look all that drastic though. Let me see. Let me do the chest here. Oh, I guess there is a little point there, and even it's those little tiny things here. Look at even this. So sometimes it's nice to just, get rid of some keyframes to smoothen things out. So look at that is so much nicer. All right. Okay. And I think I'm ready to export this. Okay. So, and as I talked about earlier, if some people, 15 people watching, it's not bad for the middle of the day. I talked about earlier, we have two different hands now in Second Life. We have Bento hands, and we have our old system mesh morphing hands. So before I export this out, see, normally to look at how the Bento bones are working with everything, I need to keep it this setting under object to spread. Now when I export this out, I want to change this to relaxed, because if somebody's not wearing Bento hands, then I want the hands to be in a relaxed position instead of spread, which looks horrible. So before I export it out, I need to change that. So now I just need to select any bone. And one of the greatest things about Avastar, because I use a lot of different frames per second settings. Okay, this one is set, I have it set to 12, even though it's 140 frames. Because I like to keep stand animations around 10 seconds long. So, but Avastar saves all these settings inside the export window. So I'm selected on a bone. I'm on the rendering tab here, and I scroll all the way down and I get my animation export options. I always export in an NIM file, and part of the reason for that is with NIM files you get 6 priorities of animation. And now this is a stand, and I'm going to export it at 2 because it doesn't need to be that high for a stand, and everything else all the rest of the animation kind of piles on top of stands. So I'm keeping the priority somewhat low. I have a loop at 140. Okay. Everything looks good to me. And anybody who's familiar with importing BVH files will have used the Second Life importer, animation importer. Well, when you use NM files, you don't need to use the importer anymore. All the settings, as you could see in the exporter, all the settings are right there. So I need to log into Second Life here. Yeah. And that's a really nice animation too. And that's actually a friend of mine who's did some modeling, and she posed for me and everything, and I motion captured her. So that's actually her movement. And we're logging into Second Life now. And when I import this, I won't have to deal with the importer at all. It's like uploading a texture, and I could upload multiple. I could bulk upload. Okay, so this is, again, weren't watching earlier, this is my avatar that I created to test out all these animations. So I'm just going to import that animation. So there is my Bento FS around him. I just edited it. There we go. It's very much like a texture. All the settings are already embedded in the exporter. So it's all those settings are there. And to change it here in my AO, I'm going to redo this. This HUD I'm using to kind of test out these options. Of course, Second Life is going to run a little bit slow. I'm streaming and all this crap. Oh, to edit the note card, I just need to replace the animation. There it is. Delete that. And I'll wait for this to jump a little bit, and that'll tell me it's reloaded. Drop that in there, and this will jump and tell me it's all loaded. There we go. And it's, of course, I have it on a randomizer, so it's not going to play it right away, but I kind of know what it's going to look like. Of course, I'll probably stop halfway through it too. Oh yeah, that head looks a lot better. And then going back to the loop here, that was, pretty nice. Okay. So that's a quick look at how that all works. Did you use MakeHuman to Maker? No, I didn't. This is actually a slink body, and I'm not a female. I'm in Second Life. I'm basically whatever avatar I'm working on. So if I'm working on female animation, then yeah, I kind of have to be a female. So this is a slink body. Vista hands, and of course none of this stuff matches, but this is just for me to test. So slink body, Vista hands, and I had to break Vista hands to be able to use them like this. And the head is actually a head that I worked on for a client that's Bento. And this is an early version of the head too. There's been many changes since then, but nothing that I had to work on. Yeah, so this is just something I put together, and believe me, being a male, this took me forever to do, just to get to this point. And the reason she doesn't have clothing is that's more time I gotta spend on it. But since I'm just looking at the animation though, so I'm just testing and seeing how the animations interplay together. See, I saw a little bit of the hands going through the body there. And I'm wondering what I can do to kind of fix that. Because that looks like a bending issue between two animations. Be a cat, yeah. Well, I was an elephant for a while. And I was a wolf for a few months. Yeah, so in Second Life, you'll never see me as me necessarily. Well, I played around with MakeHuman a little bit. It is a very nice free program. Went down. This is the person who was asking about animation exporting. Yeah, it'll be saved hopefully. So this is my first long live stream. I'm actually surprised there's 15 people watching. So let's I'll kind of show off. You've probably seen quite a few of the stands. This is this really nice box that I created the other day. Um, and I don't think no, that's an old run that I have. I haven't worked on runs yet. What else have I done? I work on sits today and some sit, but mostly, I mean, once you get done with the stands are really the hard part, the most time consuming part. And I did, I did make a sit the other day, so I probably could upload that. Yes, I did. There it is. I don't think I uploaded it. We can try this out. Okay. And it's probably not done because the height is probably totally off. What's going on there? Oh, I posted in the Avistar group that I was streaming live. Okay, so I can add this. This doesn't look bad. The real work for the 8.0 is I wanted to, this is kind of the default shape that I'm working with. And yeah, every animation works perfectly on the default shape. But not, of course, there aren't any females in Second Life that are using the default shape. So, the real work that is going to go on with the 8.0 is making it to fit all these different females. So I'm going to try and make at least three different size options for just the animation. No, to override an AO. Every set of animations inside of the default, every set of default animations have different priorities, and those need to have different priorities so they can override each other. But when we override them, there's actually two ways. God, this is so complicated. When we override them, yes, we can just play animations that are one priority higher than theirs. But my point is that there are all kinds of different priorities. The default stand animations are usually priority 1. The default walk is, I think, priority 2 or 3. The default stands, the only way to override default stands is to go almost priority 4 to totally override them. So, yeah, there's all kinds of different priorities. And that's one of the great things about Avistar and the .nim format, .nim format, is that we get 6 not the normal 4 priorities they get with BVH. Yeah. And priorities, although it's very complicated, it's a great way to handle all this stuff. It's just, in Second Life, we're all independent creators, and we all do things differently. So, what did I do? I wanted to add this sit here to the AO. And there's many animations. I just left the animations for this HUD in here. I'm not using all those animations. So let me add to the HUD. And then you can always tell it gets loaded because this will... Let me see here. Probably as we're streaming, we're using up so much. Okay, so go to my sits. Now this is custom AO that I had made, so it's not going to be exactly the same as anything you're going to be working with. And I think I just need to add this to the end here. Okay. And reload the note card. So let's reload the note card. And I'm going to redo this HUD and everything too. This is just a HUD that I was using before for another product, another AO. And nearby chat, it's telling me I'm loaded. Okay, hi. Everybody wants to see weight painting. What's the deal with weight painting? It's the most tedious thing to do, though. So what was I going to do? I need to test the sit. So I have these chairs. Yeah, I have these chairs over here that are perfect for testing sit animations. So I just sit here and all right. And actually it's not even working because do I have it off? Turn it on. There we go. Wow, I'm pretty dang close there, huh? I could go back a little bit. So yeah, let me do that. I'll go back a little bit. Damn, that's really close. So let's go into my program. Where is my sit? There we go. Let me see. I think I only have 60 frames. 60. And I wanted to export at 30. And that says 30, yeah. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to move this back. Now I could move each keyframe for my cog backwards a little bit, or, and this is what I love about Blender, I can move the location of all of them all together. It's not Z, I think it's Y. So actually Y. And where are my keyframes here? So I only have 4 keyframes, so this should be easy. And I have them all selected, and if I just hit GY, look at that, I move back. And I want to get a perfectly side view of it. Go GY, like that, maybe? How far off was I? I think that's about right. Okay, I think that's about right. And that moved all of my keyframes together. So, real quick, easy adjustment. Now I'm selected on one, export, I sit, import into Second Life. There we go. Change the HUD. I'm so surprised I have 13 people watching right now. Okay, so we're loaded, and where's my sit here? There it is. Right there. Delete that. Oh, you know what? Probably want to stand before I do that. Oh, just frickin' detached my HUD. I can find it in my outfits. Oh, Jesus. There we go. Edit. Okay. Sorry, that was such a noob. That is such a noob move. There we go. Delete. Where's my new sit? Drop it in. Wait for it to reload here, just like that. And oops, sit there. Much better. That is much better. I think that's pretty natural right there. Just kind of listening to you in the background at work. I do a lot of that with other creators. So I might not be totally into that topic, whatever they're working on. It's just something that plays in the background. You kind of absorb it too as you're working. I mean, you're working anyways, and that's kind of why I'm streaming, because I'm going to be working on this stuff anyway. So if people have questions or whatever, well, they can just ask me. So I've worked on, real quickly, I've done a couple corrections on animations. And I think I'm going to end the live stream now. So everybody, I'm going to try to stream the content creation meeting today. That's, for me, it's at 4 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock in Second Life. So I'm going to be at the content creation meeting, and I'm going to try and live stream it. So if anybody's watching now and you want to, see the meeting, you can see the meeting without going there. You can just watch the whole meeting, and you, as long as there's not too many people asking questions, people can ask me questions that I can relay to the Lindens or to Veer Linden or whoever, or to the group. But I don't want to commit that I'm going to ask everybody's questions, because who knows, if there's 50 people watching and they're all asking questions. The point of this was not to ask everybody's questions. So I think I'm going to end this live stream now. So come back to the channel in a few hours. What time is it? Yeah, I have quite a couple hours at least. What time is it? It is 1 o'clock. So in 3 hours, for me at least, in 3 hours, the content creation meeting is gonna go on. I'm gonna try and live stream that. So come back to the channel then to watch the Linden meeting. So how do I end this? Okay, so let's